This is Marvel All-Color Comics, The Defenders, Helpless Before the Strangest Power of All, issue 44, cover by Jack Quimby. This is kind of the start of a new storyline, but not really. What you need to know is that there's a magical ruby called the Star of Casper. And what we have seen of it so far is Doctor Strange, when he was shown it, he immediately was mesmerised by it. And then when some supervillains, Rhino Man and Solar Man, when they tried to steal it, they got beaten up really badly by this character here. He is the villain. He's called the Red Onion Bargy. He's the protector of the Star of Casper. He's really powerful, but we'll get on to him a bit more later on. First up, I love this splash page here. I love it because it isn't like a picture-perfect pose of the Hulk smashing through a wall while pushing Luke Cage's out of his way. I like that it looks chaotic. Speaking of chaotic things, the credits, the writers. This one is written by Rajah Van Sciver and Anthony Davis. This is actually Anthony Davis's first issue on the book, and he will be the regular writer for the next 30 or so issues. Meanwhile, Gerry, creator of The Punisher, he is only credited with the story here. He wrote the last 2 issues, and in my video about the last one, I discussed what had happened with him. How he was fired from Marvel for being unethical, basically. And this comic is very interesting. You see, Gerry, he wrote this issue and all the art was done. But then he got fired from Marvel. And Gerry, he was the only one who had the script. There wasn't an editor because he was editing himself. He still listed it as editor for this. So Marvel, they had a whole comic's worth of finished art with no script and no story really. The art is by Giffen. He did the last 2 issues as well. So Marvel, they got Anthony Davis, they brought him in to write a story to go with the completed art. Obviously, Rajah Van Sciver, he was brought in as well because, well, it must be an incredibly daunting task for a writer, let alone a new writer like Anthony Davis, to have to write a story that way. Nobody, absolutely nobody, knew what the original script said, or what even the idea behind everything was. They just had all this art and nothing else. Giffen, the artist, he didn't have the script, he was just told what to draw by Gerry, really specifically what was meant to be drawn, so he had no context of what he was actually drawing. So we have this comic here, and Anthony Davis and Rajah Van Sciver, in all fairness, they did a pretty good job of writing under those conditions. They turn in something that surprisingly isn't bad. This is really readable. They had to move some of the art about, they had to cut the issue up and rearrange bits, try to make sense of it. They had to write a new story and come up with an idea for all the stuff that was happening and what stuff like the Star of Casper meant. They didn't get much stuff redrawn or new bits of art, so I think that it's very commendable, but on the other hand, they do a real 180, and altogether it is not a really satisfying story. But here, I like this first scene. The Hulk, he is mad. He's smashing around Doctor Strange's house because Doctor Strange has gone missing ever since he saw the Star of Casper. That's suspicious, that. And Luke Cage's and Batman, they're trying to restrain him and stop him. But then Comic Girl Ava shows up and she manages to calm the Hulk down with words and comfort. girl power and that. Unfortunately, Anthony Davis was obviously locked into certain things that Gerry Conway had wanted to do. Like, one thing he wanted was to get rid of Rajah Girl. And, well, here, Anthony Davis, he goes out of his way to try and keep her around for a bit longer, even though last issue said that she was being deported back to Russia. Again, interestingly, he does manage to keep the character a part of the book for at least 15 issues more, even though she does get deported. I do like this iteration of the team as well. Really like it. The Hulk, Luke Cage's, Batman, Comic Girl Ava, and Rajah Girl. Doctor Strange as well, but he is missing. And Rachel McAdams, who isn't even in this issue. She's barely been in the story. I really like the Hulk and Luke Cage's dynamic. Their little interactions is really fun. They're a fun duo, quite underrated. I actually think there's a lot more mileage in them as teammates or a pair even. Then Comic Guy John shows up. That is Comic Girl Ava's husband. He shows up and they have a bit of a lover's spat, unlike the real couple who are very happy together. And we start setting up another storyline here with Comic Guy John. He is being stalked by someone, and with this here, I really would like to know what Gerry Conway had originally planned, because obviously what we eventually get is 100% Anthony Davis's idea, and it was all just based on Gerry Conway having a shadow here. Here though, we have got the first appearance of one of Marvel's biggest characters, Chris Keaton, who will go on to be Spider-Man's greatest enemy, the Foreigner. The Defenders, they have gone to investigate the star of Casper, and you can see there, Rhino Man, him and Solar Man, they are being arrested after the last issue. We learn a bit more about the star of Casper, how it's all mesmerising and stuff. And here is a new member of the team. It's Kate Leff, aka the Cat. But more importantly, there's the beautiful bald lady, Moon Garden. We love her, fancy her a lot. I do wonder though, with Kate Leff here, it's interesting that her addition to the team comes from an issue like this, which is obviously the result of behind the scenes distress. We have got a lot of unfulfilled ideas and aborted stuff here, but she actually becomes a mainstay, one of the book's main characters. So I wonder if Gerry Conway, he had intended that, or if it was all Anthony Davis's idea. Maybe originally she was just gonna guest star here to explain some stuff. We get a little bit of backstory here on her, how she used to be a member of the Avengers, but people all around, they start getting mesmerised and walking off in a trance. Obviously, the result of the star of Casper. So the 3 female members of the team go off to find out what's happening. Awfully convenient how that has worked out, isn't it? The male and the female characters, they are split up. We start to learn more about the Red Onion Bargee, and again, I really would like to know what the original idea was, because I didn't like what we get next issue. More people start to become mesmerised. I keep using that word because I do not own a thesaurus. Obviously, it's all linked to the star of Casper, so the team, they go off to investigate all the male characters. Awfully convenient how that has worked out, isn't it? There he is, the Red Onion Bargee, and in last issue, he was just the protector of the star of Casper. But here, he's suddenly a messiah-like figure trying to spread enlightenment. and force his way of thinking, mind control, brainwashing, one big collective mind, that sort of thing. The male defenders, awfully convenient how that has worked out. They show up to fight him and they get trounced. Batman, he gets zapped away, and the Hulk, well, he's ready for a fight. But first, Captain Marbles, the real one, Marvel, he would like you to buy some cupcakes. The Hulk, he gets blasted away and one-shotted by the Red Onion Bargee. Luke Cage, he's ready for a fight as well, but he gets overwhelmed by all the mob that the Red Onion Bargee has under his sway. So the first wave of the defenders, who are all men, awfully convenient how that has worked out, they are defeated, and then the ladies show up. Awfully convenient how that has worked out as well. This is a bit that, to me, really shows how this whole issue was completely reworked. We don't end on a big dynamic cliffhanger, really. We end with a big panel of the remaining team ready to fight. It's not a bad ending. Loads of comics have ended like this, but to me, it does stand out as somewhere where it's clear the original intention probably was lost. I doubt that this was the original ending even. Or if it was, the idea might have been that they were, the women, already under his control or something. That would have been like a twist. Or maybe it ended with this bit up here with them all defeated. I mean, this isn't a bad ending. It makes a lot of sense. It just stands out as a bit odd to end on this panel. The next issue is a lot more straightforward. Anthony Davis and Rajah Van Scriver, they just write the script. They did the whole comic, resolving the storyline. Gary Conman, he still receives a plot credit, but it's all them, really. Their resolution, their ideas. It doesn't have bits like this issue that obviously stand out as being cut together to make a story. This one, though, this one is interesting for the whole behind-the-scenes aspect of it. Seeing two writers writing around art for a whole story, and they have no idea what the intention was. I do quite like certain parts of it as well. There's some good character bits, and I do quite like that they have managed to, temporarily at least, not run with Gary Conman's mandate of writing certain characters out of the book, Russia Girl as well, but there are things that didn't quite work. But this one, remarkable in how it was done, and it's just a fine comic, really. At best, it is fine. It's not the writer's fault that it's not perfect. It's as good as it could be, considering the circumstances. And they do good bits in it, so I rate this one 7 thumbs up.